All right.
Hey, what's up, everyone? It's back. It's a post-fight podcast. John, we are back. It's been a while. Little mini vacation for me. You haven't stopped grinding, though, have you? You never stop.
Nope. You can't stop, man. Can't stop, won't stop. You know how it works. When you're in a position like I'm in, I have to continue doing it until I feel like I don't know. I don't think I've ever will feel comfortable. I think that's a good characteristic to have. It's like you don't always ever feel comfortable. You keep doing it. I have taken days off though. I don't know if people know, but I kind of like stock so much
When?
like
I've never
interviews.
seen you take a day off.
No,
Never.
I took 3 days off last week. Last weekend, I pretty much did nothing.
You're
You know,
probably like sneaking in an interview on your phone while your
no,
wife
no,
wasn't
I
looking.
had so many interviews stocked up because I had a couple of days where I did eight eight interviews, 10 interviews. So I had so much stacked up, and especially with the Ryzen stuff, you know what I mean. I'm pretty sure you've seen it. All the Ryzen fighters that we've done pretty much. I did 15 of the 16 bantamweight
Only
contenders.
15? Oh,
Yeah,
that's
only
terrible.
15, right?
Jesus.
So, and I need one more, but to complete it. But yeah, like that was all stacked up, and then I don't know, man. I have a feeling if I take too much time off, I'm missing out. You know that I guess it's FOMO. That's what the
FOMO.
kids call it, FOMO. So
Absolutely.
that's the reason why, I guess.
Well, I'm back in SCMP Towers, Causeway Bay, lovely Times Square in
Yeah, can't
central
wait to
Hong
go
Kong.
and
Hong
visit.
Kong.
You know what I mean? I can't wait to
Yeah.
for them to
Hong,
make a bubble or something.
Hong Kong can't wait to see you. The bubble is coming, I think, soon. I'm not sure. We keep arranging one with Singapore. It keeps bursting.
Yeah.
Excuse the
But the
pun.
thing is, like over here, they expect everybody to be vaccinated and have no mask by the beginning of next year.
You looking the fresh shave, JHK?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. It looks better. It looks better.
Yeah.
You don't look like Teen Wolf.
Yeah, it gets to a point where I just need to get rid of it. It's not a good look. Anyway, Chris, what's up, Chris? What are we talking about today, John? There's a lot of stuff. Well, I haven't really done one of these for since UFC 262. Feels like a lifetime ago, but it's probably 2 weeks ago, wasn't it? I'm trying to
Yeah.
think. Yeah, about 2 weeks. So you've got Tyron Woodley, Jake Paul. You've got some exclusive news, I think, or some rumors you've been hearing.
Yeah.
Where
Stuff
do you
I've
want
been
to
hearing.
start?
Let's just start with Jake Paul and Tyron Woodley, I think. Or Tyron Woodley. We gotta say his name right. Um it's interesting, you know what I mean? Because you gotta look at the timeline, right? Jake Paul, he was fighting for Triller. I guess his contract, the timeline came up or something, and then he signs with Showtime. I thought that was a major move for Jake Paul, man. That kind of, in a way, it legitimizes him as a boxer having a contract with Showtime because Showtime is a massive entity. So and I think Showtime, they didn't want to have the freak show fights, and I think that's why Tyron Woodley was signed to fight Jake Paul. I think that's the reasoning behind it. I think they're trying to grow Jake Paul. He's already a star, right? So they want to grow him as an athlete. So the only way to grow him as an athlete is to beat someone legit. And and I think Tyron Woodley is the closest to legit as you can be. He's a former Strikeforce champion, former UFC champion, and he's not a boxer, but he's a fighter, right? So to put into perspective of what they're trying to do, I think this is something that is a risk, but then there's a huge reward if Jake Paul goes in there and boxes Tyron Woodley's head off, right? And you know what's crazy? Jake Paul's the favorite. But at the same time, I don't think it's crazy. You know why? Is because Jake Paul has been boxing and he's been focused on just strictly boxing as as in when you look on the flip side, Tyron Woodley, he hasn't been focusing on boxing. We know he has knockout power, but he hasn't been focused on boxing. Boxing is a completely different sport from mixed martial arts, right? So
I think I
um
saw a good tweet. I just want to bring it up.
yeah.
Someone, I can't remember, it was one of those meme accounts, said Tyron Woodley's going to unleash that shot he's been winding up for 11 rounds now.
Yeah. Well, when you look at it stylistically, I don't think Jake Paul is stupid at all. They know what type of fighter Tyron Woodley is. It almost seems like they've been bubbling this up since the last fight. You know, when Jake Paul or when Tyron Woodley went into Jake Paul's locker room and watched him get his hands wrapped. You know, I mean, I guess that's part of the commission, what they do for boxing matches, to have the other side watch them wrap their hands. But yeah, they were talking crazy trash to each other, and then now it's leading up to this, and I think it's a good fight, man. I think it's a fight that I would watch. I'm not gonna like say like I'm against this fight, because I'm not. Because if you look at it, Tyron Willie has hands, you know, and he can strike, and Jake Paul can box. We've seen that. So let's see who's gonna come out on top. If Tyron Woodley wins this fight, I think it makes him a target now for himself, you know, for boxers. You know what I mean? Like boxers will start to want to fight him. So it's a good move for Tyron Woodley, right? But it's not a good move if he goes in there and gets knocked out by Jake Paul. Not a good
Yeah.
move at all.
Well, Tan Nguyen, what's up, Tan? In the comments here, saying what will happen if Jake Paul and Logan Paul win? So Logan Paul is boxing Floyd Mayweather. I think that one's an exhibition. Is that right? Whereas Jake Paul and Tyron is a pro fight. So
Yeah, actually, it's a
does
commission
the
fight.
world end if the Paul brothers beat Tyron and Mayweather?
No, it just proves that this world is just a never-ending Black Mirror episode, right? That's what it proves to us. If they win, great, man. If they lose, great. You know, like I think if Tyron Woodley loses to Jake Paul, it's not such a big deal. You know what I mean? Jake Paul has proven that he can box, and a lot of legit fighters, legit boxers have came out and said they've seen him in the room, they've seen him spar. He is legit, right? He can scrap. So I believe those fighters. You know what I mean? The latest one I remember watching was Zab Judah. Yeah, Zab Judah. Yeah, Zab Judah. Or is it Jab Judah? No, yeah,
Is
Zab
that
Judah, former champ, right?
Judge?
Yeah, he's and he said that he can fight. So I believe him. You know, when guys like that come out and say that, I believe he can fight. If Logan Paul goes out there and beats Mayweather, that would be a big shock. That would be something that would, I don't know if it's like earth shattering, but it would be something that's worthy of like headlines, right? I think that would actually come out on like news in like every country that Mayweather lost, because he's this undefeated uh, you know, TBE goat, and he goes in there and loses against a YouTube guy. So which would be
Well,
just
Thunder Fist McBeefcake in the chat. Great username there, gotta say. Says they messed up picking Woodley. He won't mess about. Is Jake Paul
yeah, but
possibly biting off more than he could chew, John?
well, that's what they want, right? They want somebody that can draw attention and not put in that like there will be no talk about, oh, it's fixed or he's picking low hanging fruit. None of that. There's none of that talk, right? There won't be, because Woodley's gonna go in there, and I think Woodley's gonna go hard at him real quick, and it's not gonna be, yeah, it's not gonna be an easy fight for Jake Paul. But I still believe that Jake Paul has the boxing skill to beat him. You know what I mean? It's not about just getting a knockout, right? I think that a lot of people are just like fantasizing about Woodley going in there and knocking out Jake Paul. They got to remember, this is a boxing match. The gloves are much bigger. You know, the defense is different, right? And the power is different, right? Because you have thicker gloves. So will Woodley have the power that he had with the small MMA gloves, with the thick gloves? Can Jake Paul take those shots? He might be able to, you know what I mean? And what if he does take the shots and Woodley's like, okay, what do I do now? Because he's not a boxer, right? So it's there's so many things going on in that fight, but it's gonna be entertaining. That's one thing for sure. Jake Paul, he's that guy. You remember when you were young, and he's like that guy that instigates everything, but usually those guys can't fight. But he's a guy that instigates everything, but he can actually fight, right? So it makes it like really annoying to a lot of people in this world. A lot of people hate those types of people, and that's why they want him to lose. And Jake Paul's feeding into that. He's feeding into all those people's hate, and he's kind of like that kid on the fence, like yeah, 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 like that kind of kid, right? But he's not a kid. He's a grown adult. Man, it's just a weird, man. Like, why are we like? I'm just feeling weird talking about Jake Paul continuously. You know what I mean? But it's part of the sport now, man. It's part of
Yeah.
not MMA. It's part of combat sports. So
Well, Chris is saying he's going for Jake Paul. but it's nice to see nice to see him fight someone who'll give him resistance. But look, John, isn't it? Everyone's talking about this. It's the biggest topic in all of combat sports right now, I would say. It's like the headlines in all the major outlets and the media. Ariel's got the exclusive last night, I saw. It's bigger than anything going on in UFC at the moment, anything going on in any other MMA outlet. Jake Paul knows how to get people talking. Yeah, I got to give him that. Is that fair to say?
Well, it's the perfect week to release this information, right? It's like a fight night, you know what I mean? The main event is not drawing too much attention, so they're like, all right, let's drop this news now. And you know, the main event for the UFC, one of the fighters is represented by first round. Tyron Woodley's represented by first round, so you know they must have had something, you know, in the works the whole time. You know what I mean? It's all about timing, and this is great timing for them. Tyron Woodley, you remember when Jake Paul versus Ben Askren first got announced? What did I say from the start? I
I
said
can't remember. That was last year,
Jake
December.
Paul was gonna knock out Ben Askren from the start. I said that this is not good, but this fight, I'm not gonna say that. You know why? Is because Tyron Woodley has that earth-shattering knockout power, and he could just land one, and it'll be night. And then on the flip side, Jake Paul could win this fight just off boxing, right? Just off dodging the big looping shots and not, you know, getting hit clean. So I think it's going to be a competitive fight. And, you know, Tyron Woodley, this will be his pro debut. So I wonder if he has the cardio to last in a boxing match. You know, that's another factor here. Can he land the power shots? Is he going to go out there and try to be more technical? You know, the thing is, we don't know. You know what I mean? When he gets out there, is he comfortable with the gloves on, the bigger gloves, the thicker gloves? Jake Paul's used to all that stuff.
So many questions.
Yeah, so many questions.
It makes it intriguing.
It does make it intriguing. Like you said, it's the number one topic in combat sports, and there's a reason.
Yeah.
You know why?
Well,
and it's beautiful for Showtime. I think Showtime got rid of. Oh no, they didn't get rid of boxing, but yeah, I think this is a great addition to that. Remember, they also have Bellator, and
yes,
you know that could open a lot of doors for Bellator fighters too.
Well, if Thunderfist McBeefcake here asking if Jake Paul meets Woodley, who next? Because this is a big step up. Maybe a real boxer. Is that the next step?
No, I don't think so. I think he fights
3 more retired MMA fighters and then a real boxer.
Exactly, man. I could see him fighting, you know, Anthony Pettis next. You know, I could see him, you know, fighting some other like striker.
He's just going through Rufus, all of the Rufus.
Yeah. You know, it's like we're gonna get revenge, and then we're gonna bring Anthony Pettis. Anthony Pettis also represented by first round management. So, you know, it could be all lined up. Who knows? But yeah,
is Masvidal the final boss then?
Who?
Masvidal. If we're doing first round management.
Yeah, I think Masvidal could be the next one. You know what I mean? But the thing about it is, the fighters that are signed with the UFC, they're not gonna box. They just blocked GSP, and he's retired from fighting, but still under contract with the UFC. They blocked him. They're not gonna let any of the other guys go fight. That's why a lot of these guys, you know, are trying to get as many fights as possible to fight out their contract. I think that's a possibility. So,
Tan, since the Paul brothers are now the face of combat sports, they'll make more money than 99% of boxing champions and UFC champions.
I don't know if
I think they make more
there's
than
a
UFC
difference.
champions.
Yeah, there's a difference. I don't think they're the face of combat sports, but you know, they make headlines. You know, being the face doesn't just mean that you're the most popular, right? There's a difference. So, would you ever considered Conor McGregor the face of MMA? I don't think so. I don't know. It's hard to say.
Time.
It's hard to say. Yeah, it was, but it's hard to say, you know. But I don't know. They're just gonna bring in guys that are like that have a good name, but Jake Paul has a chance against them, right? And this is the first big test, Tyron Woodley. If it get past him, we'll see what he has next. I could see him fighting like Oscar De La Hoya or something like that next. Some retired boxer or some boxer that is a little bit older and that has a decent name. Maybe they'll bring back Ricky Hatton or something. I don't know. Ricky Hatton, I think he's really old now, right?
Very old, yes. Chris is suggesting maybe Dylan Dennis
That's
or
stepping
Floyd
backwards,
for
though.
Jake Paul. So if Floyd beats Logan, maybe Jake v Floyd because they
Yeah,
had the whole hat incident. That's an inbuilt feud there.
yeah, I could see that. I could see that happening. I could see them bringing in Floyd to fight Jake Paul. That would be a good natural step. Um, who knows, man? Who knows with these guys? But I'll be watching. I'll probably do a live, uh, like a hangout show with James Lynch. We did it before with the other fight, so we'll see.
John KL, good to see you, John. Good to see all the homies in the chat. Notice how Jake Paul hasn't mentioned Christian Lee even once. Don't want none of that heat.
Yeah. Well, Eddie Alvarez is mentioning Christian Lee all the time, right? Or vice versa. There's
Yeah.
a little stew brewing over there with Eddie Alvarez and Christian Lee, but Christian
Yes,
Lee
Eddie.
doesn't care.
Eddie seems to be unable to accept that he lost those two fights.
Yeah,
So
I guess that's what you need to be a champion, right? Um you need to think that you won every fight, right? You need to believe you won every
this
fight.
is just
So
a growing annoying trend though with the American interest or even with the Indian interest because when Nguyen beat Ritu, all these Indian fans are saying, "Well, Ritu took her down 3 times, so Ritu won the fight." But you have to look at the different scoring criteria in one, right? And it's
yeah,
not the UFC. But all these fans just can't get their heads around that. Same with
no,
Eddie and the American fans who don't watch one. It's very annoying.
they
He
still
did not
don't
win
know.
the fight. Yeah, and will they ever realize or care? I don't know. But Eddie Alvarez did not beat Oak Rayoon. Oak Rayoon won that fight in every possible way given one's scoring criteria. Hate to say it. Anyway, I got on a tangent there, John. You got me fired up about Eddie Alvarez and
Yeah,
one championship.
Eddie Alvarez, they should give him a decent name though. Still, even though he's coming off those losses,
Just do
or
the
just
do
that
the
loss,
do that rematch with what's his face?
Lapkus.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then
they
Eddie
have
could jump straight to the top of the queue if he
exactly.
beats him, right?
Yeah,
No harm done.
Lapkus is ranked what, number 3 or something like that.
He's number two still.
Number 2.
Yeah, and then I don't know what's going on with Daggy. So if Eddie beats Labicus, let's say he'd probably be in line next after whatever. So we'll see.
Yeah, I like
Dylan
it. I like it.
Dennis missed the boat, says Tan. Yeah, he may have done. Uh, Nunes versus Paul, who wins? Asked Eddie Kim. Um,
Oh man, I don't know. Hard to say. If it's MMA, I'd pick Nunez. Boxing, I don't know.
Slick Nick looking clean. Thank you, Alan. Did shave yesterday or the day before that. It's amazing how Christian Lee is owning Eddie in this current beef, says John. What's Christian said? Has he said anything else lately? I saw a clip
Yeah, I
from
saw the clip too.
Tops Off Sports or whatever it's called.
I think the
And
clip was on the One Championship Twitter account. They had a clip on there of Christian talking about
yeah,
Eddie, and uh, and he said that Eddie, he's 1-3 and one. That you got to beat the contenders to get a title shot. You can't just jump the line.
that is
So
true.
it is true. You know what I mean? But what can you do, man? Eddie lost. His last. He's lost like he's 1-3 or 1-2 and 1. One no contest, right? So it's hard to argue for his title shot. It's very hard to argue for it, right? And hopefully, he gets another fight. He gets that Lapkus fight. He beats him because he was on his way to beating Lapkus, right? It wasn't like the Oak fight. The Oak fight, it started off bad for Eddie, right? Immediately,
He came back
and
strong.
yeah, he came back
But
strong, but he just took too much damage in the key moments, right? And
yeah,
and there was a lot of holding along the fence too, right? Even though I don't know if it was holding, but he was trying to take him down, but he just couldn't get him down. Oak had very good takedown defense, and that was very impressive. Um,
what about this Eddie versus Lapkus, and then Eddie versus Shinya, but I would say that Shinya is ranked lower than Lapkus, right? I think so. You've got to go Shinya first, then Lapkus if you're going to do that Shinya fight. And he doesn't want the Shinya trilogy. Chatri
Nah.
wants that. I think they'll get to that eventually. Maybe if Eddie beat Lapkus and then had a title shot, lost to Christian Lee, he may go to Shinya because not going to have anything else to do for a while.
Yeah.
But
Hopefully,
I
you know,
don't
I mean,
see.
Eddie has a lot of fights if he wants to
He
fight.
does. I mean, I think these guys are all on 10 fight contracts. The big names in one. So
Yeah.
he's had 4. He's got 6 more. He'll be there for a few years.
Yeah, yeah. Or he'll be there forever. You know, I mean, if he just doesn't fight, so we'll see. Um, yeah, but yeah,
Daddy.
the movement of the division. There's a lot of matchups, man. There's a lot of fighters that haven't fought each other in that top 5, top 10, and yeah, just let it roll through. You know, just let it figure itself out.
Migs merch. Yeah, it literally will be coming soon because it's now part of my performance. We do these things called performance goals each year.
Hmm.
So I set one of my goals was to set up merchandise on the YouTube channel. So I have to do it. So we'll be coming soon. You can buy your T-shirts and things. There you go. John KL says he's just being dismissive of Eddie by pointing out cold hard facts. Yes, Christian Lee. Christian's not. I wouldn't say Christian is needling Eddie. He's just saying things that are true, and that's the truth hurts. In the way Eddie lost those fights, he's not close to a title shot. Anyway, why don't we get on to another topic, guys? One quick question here from Alan. Do you guys see Renier versus Arjan happening eventually? I don't see it happening next. Arjan told me in an interview he wants to fight Kang next and then have a couple of defenses. He thinks Renier should have a couple of defenses and then they can come back to that if they both still have their belts. So I think that's fair enough.
Well, in my interview with Kang, you could go watch it on this channel after the podcast. He
Wait, trying
said
to
that
point.
Kang
There you
said
go.
that they have been talking about the title fight with one championship. So it looks like it's in the works. Kang just needs to get clearance from the doctor. I believe he goes to the doctor this week to clear his eye. He had some problem with his eye, you know, from the Amir fight. And once
Because it
that gets taken
broke his
care of,
orbital, didn't he, or something?
I don't think it was his orbitals, his retina or something in his eye, like his lens, the lens part of the eye, right? So it's nothing really too serious, but he needs to get doctor's clearance, right? Make sure the doctors say it's
Yeah.
okay. And then once he gets that, he said he's gonna go into full training camp mode for the title challenge or title fight or whatever. So I guess it's in motion. That's what he said in the interview. So maybe we'll hear an announcement pretty soon, maybe for the summer.
Well, I can tell you straight up, there is nothing going on in one right now. It's completely dead. They haven't got any fights booked at the moment. Everyone is taking a bit of a break. They don't know when this Empower card is even going to happen. Singapore, maybe John can fill us in on what's going on in Singapore in John KL with the COVID spike that was there recently. Nothing is in the works too close to now. It's all a little bit further away. Um, but yeah, John is suggesting maybe it could happen next, Arjun Derrida, because the heavyweight and light heavyweight divisions are pretty thin. I do think there are heavyweight challenges though, John, aren't there? There's at least a couple of people they could put Arjan against. Light heavyweight, no. There is literally no one. I cannot think of a single person for Renier to fight. So makes
He's gonna
sense.
go fight middleweight. That's what's
Yeah,
gonna happen.
Abasov next, right?
Yeah, I think they're gonna have
As
Abasov fight him next,
Ong is suggesting here.
and then I think Ung will fight somebody at middleweight, right? Because that fight was at light heavyweight. I think Ung wants to fight at middleweight again. It seems like, uh, yeah, man. There's still that middleweight division is shaping up. I think it's getting a little bit better. You know, you got what is it? Uh, what's the Brazilian at
Leandro.
middleweight? Yeah, Leandro. You got him
Yeah,
there.
he's
You know,
pretty damn good.
you still got Big Dash floating
He
around
gave
somewhere.
Derrida a tough fight, so you could
Exactly.
do that again.
Exactly. So There is no fights at light heavyweight. It's
There are
all
none.
heavyweight, which is Arjun. He's the champ, so let him figure it out. And then you got middleweight. You know, Ong. You got Leandro. You got You even got like you got Ken Nasagawa still there. You know, Big Dash is there. Um, yeah. So we'll see what
Yeah,
happens. You know what I mean? I think like Nick, you were saying that right now everything's in a standstill. So we shouldn't expect anything out of one right now.
yeah.
They did a lot in the past 6 months, man. A lot,
Well,
I believe.
they are pushing as well um, this stuff about the one versus UFC,
Ah, come on,
the
man.
big, uh, the big fake thing that is not a thing, and and also the Nielsen report. That's all they're interested. They even sent a press release last night about how they are top 10 in the world according to Nielsen for social media metrics or something. Some
Oh,
BS.
I have no idea. I don't know anything about that, right? I don't have no idea what Nielsen does. Like I don't even know how they get their information, so it's hard for me to
So
comprehend if
one championship ranks among top 10 global sports properties in viewership and engagement. And there's a graph here. I'm gonna bring this up. Just why not? It's funny.
that could be true, you know what I mean? Like you got all these social media platforms, and then you can
I think it's a
generate.
little skewed, just because
Mm, I think
we.
everybody's skewed.
I think one buys some social media views. I
Well,
think that's
but
fair to
doesn't
say.
every company?
Maybe I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
So
what is this saying? I can't even see it. Uh, so the UEFA Champions League and La Liga, the top digital footprints, whatever that means. But one championship's follower growth is the highest of all of these companies, platforms, everyone, whatever you want to call them. And one is only behind the NFL, the UFC, the Premier League, the NBA, La Liga, and Champions League, but is ahead of F1, MotoGP, Bundesliga, all these other things. I imagine it'd be ahead of Wimbledon because Wimbledon happens once a year, and it didn't even happen last year.
and nobody cares about tennis. Come on. Only
Same for the
person that
US
watches
Open.
tennis is Leon. That's it.
Oh, my mic's gone. I
No,
slapped the
it's good.
table and disconnected something. You can hear it?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I can't hear shit. All right. I did something. Let me play with some things. That sounded wrong. Well, if you can still hear me, that's fine.
Yeah.
Can't hear myself. But
Well, you don't need to hear yourself. You're talking.
no, I don't. Yeah. Uh,
Well, the thing about this is like, if they want to promote this, they could promote it, man. The funny thing is like no other promotion promotes this. Do they?
yeah. I don't think anyone gives a damn. It seems small time to really push this out. They sent a press release about how great this is that they're on this list. Oh,
Yeah.
there's more graphs. Let me see this one. Because these are fun. Uh, I just don't think it's. I wouldn't shout from the rooftop about it, but who am I? Who am I,
Yeah.
John?
I don't know who you are.
Neither do I.
You've been gone for so long.
Yeah. What's this one saying? Cumulative reach ooze. OOOs? I don't know what that means. More nonsense. Bellator lost. Oh, look at poor old Bellator right there at the end. 16,000, whatever the metric is. Uh, one championship only behind the Premier League and the Champions League, in whatever this one is
What?
monitoring. I don't know what this graph is for.
What is UCL?
The UEFA Champions League is the European Cup of Soccer football.
The UCL is Champions League.
Yeah, UEFA Champions
Okay.
League. UEFA is
Okay.
like the European governing body.
Damn, that's
Uh,
crazy. Like, cause I know the Champions League is massive, right? EPL is massive too. Because it's that because even though it's European league, it's like worldwide, right? Like they're watching it everywhere. Like Korea, they
Yeah.
don't even watch the local pro league. Everybody's watching EPL or the anything in Europe basically. Especially there's some Korean players out there. Yeah, Champions League is insane. They're third behind those two. That is crazy.
But what even is this graph looking at? I haven't figured that out. Uh, in cumulative reach, one championship ranks third behind the English Premier League and UEFA Champions League, and head of the UFC. According to Nielsen, cumulative reach measures the number of unique viewers who tune in to watch at least 1 minute of a TV broadcast. Okay. Well, I think Chris pointed this out when we had a chat about it. One has all these TV deals in Myanmar and Philippines and what have you. So
That's
they're
true
on
too.
they're on more probably in more homes generally.
Then
Is
yeah,
that
that yeah.
something to really be shouting about? Because you want UFC's TV deals with whoever are worth more money. So
Yeah. Well,
does
this
it
is
matter?
not about money though. That
This
we
is
got to get
about
this clear, right? This is
people
about
seeing your
reach.
product. Okay.
Yeah, reach and digital footprint, and that doesn't mean you know it results into cash, right? Profits. It just means that
Chris has
you're reaching
just
more
texted
people.
me some facts. I'll read these out. 10 out of the 18 countries they used for the Nielsen poll are in Asia. Very bad statistical sampling. For Burma, they just did the two big cities and multiplied it out to match the whole country. Okay, well,
See, he's dissecting it like a
yeah,
doctor.
there's so many comments. This is getting people riled up, John. Let me try and see the homies in the chat. Uh, who's saying what? Bunch of comments here. Okay, Burmese people love to swear at Ongla's opponents. That is true. Um, one only want cross promotion with the UFC, despite the fact that Ryzen, Bellator, KSW are the only ones. Presumably, Chris means that they could do it with. I agree. Um, yeah. Hey, let's get on. You want to move on, John?
Sure, man. It's it's good to point out, but I don't think it's such a big deal.
Hey, Nick, I sent you some WhatsApp messages. Oh yeah, I read those. Any more, Chris? There we go. Up to date with Chris's texts. How long have we got you, John? You have to bounce for an interview soon.
Yeah, I gotta bounce out in about 15 minutes.
All right. What do you want to talk about, if anything? Then I'll handle the rest. I'll go solo.
What is it? Like we have a couple things, right? So like the first thing is the Contender Series Asia, right? So I'm gonna try to remember as much as I can about this topic.
Mm,
Because we've been waiting for Contender Series Asia for like how many, like what? When was the first time they introduced it? It was like
the
2020, right?
dawn of
Beginning of
time, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, right at the beginning of 2020, right? We were like, okay, Series Asia. At the end of 2019, they were talking about it, right? I don't know who broke that news, but was it me? I don't even know. But it was it you? I have no idea. Was it Matt? I think it might have been Matt. You know what I mean? Who broke that news about Contender Series Asia? But anyways, at the end of 2019, everyone's talking about it. They're like
Wasn't me.
2020 is gonna start in April, I believe. That's what they were saying, right? And then the pandemic hit. So once the pandemic hit, everything, because the pandemic hit China first. So of course China's gonna get locked down, shut down, and yeah, and they postponed it indefinitely, right? So the world is better now. It's been over a year. They talked about, okay, since we can't have it in China, we can't have people flying into China. The quarantines are too strict. Um, let's have it in Vegas. So there was talks about Vegas, Contender Series Asia, fly all the fighters to Vegas. They could, it's actually probably works out better for everybody because everybody will be there. They already have a system going, right? So it's just like in and out, in and out. But they delayed it, man. They delayed it to the fall. But then now I'm hearing that I think the reason why they delayed it is because the fighters, they're having a hard time getting all the fighters to Vegas now, right? From whatever country they're coming from. Most likely a lot of them are coming from China. And there's a lot of visa issues going on, I think, around the world with the pandemic, right? You need certain things, certain paperwork. There's a lot of red tape, right, to get visas, and it's a little bit difficult if you don't have the people around you to help you, obtain all those documents. So they're delaying it. They're talking about, okay, we're going to delay it to the fall. Now I'm hearing they might even delay it even further, because just the world is in a mess, right? It's still, everybody thinks it's getting better, but really it's not getting that much better. I mean, of course, there's vaccines and everything going on, but like as in travel wise, it's pretty much the same. Certain countries it's easier, but a lot of the countries they're still not allowing people to come in and out so easily. Especially Korea. Korea, you still have to do 2-week quarantines in and out, right? So, and Hong Kong, is it 3 weeks for you guys when you guys
Depends
come
which
back in?
country you're coming from.
Exactly. You see, that's
They
even
have a
something weird.
list of there are
Yeah.
tiers. If you're in
Exactly,
tier
right?
A or
So
whatever,
imagine
it's worse or
imagine
better. I
how
can't remember.
difficult to remember all that stuff. You know what I mean? Just remembering all of that and going through all the protocols and yeah, so many factors. And now what I'm hearing is like, Ariel Hawani, he reported this, he tweeted it out that, the August 14th card was supposed to, they're targeting it for London, right? They never officially said anything, but I said that before, right? I said they're gonna have it in London. Ariel reporting now that there's too much, every things are changing by the week, by the day, right? So, and the UK was never in a good situation because they were on lockdown for the longest, I believe, and a lot of the fighters weren't able to train properly, and a lot of fighters, they had fights booked, but some of them couldn't even get out the country, or they got stuck with something, right? And London, it doesn't seem like London's going to happen. So they're going to put that in the Apex. And even Dana White was saying that, he's looking at having all the fight nights in Vegas and not even risking going anywhere for fight nights, right? Only having pay-per-views. And I think all the pay-per-views will be in the US, and they're talking about New York. I heard New York is a possible place they're going to have a show. New Jersey is another spot that they might have a show. Atlantic City, Miami or Florida, of course, Texas, of course, and Arizona, of course, right? Those are the
Well,
spots.
AEW, the wrestling company,
Hmm.
is now back going on the road. They announced during last Sunday's pay per view they're going to go to Chicago in August, I think it is,
Hmm.
and
So
Missouri, St. Louis,
yeah,
I think.
Missouri, yes,
They're going to.
Missouri, Chicago. You see, it's like in the states, it's not such an issue, right? In the states, it's like once the governor or the state allows it to open back up, the UFC will go in there. Dana White said that, like, if it's guaranteed, we're gonna go there and put on a show. So I feel like the pay-per-views will be there, but internationally, they were talking about going to Russia this year. I don't think that's gonna happen. I think it's just gonna be too much trouble for them. So going back to Contender Series Asia, I think it's just like, don't have your hopes high on it. If it happens, it happens, because it's just like it just keeps getting delayed and delayed, and it just sucks seeing that continue, and keeping your hopes high on that doesn't help
Well,
anybody.
John KL has a theory why it's delayed. It's 'cause people backed out when they realized they might get killed by Lee Kai Wen. Don't blame them.
Yeah, that could be a possibility too. Oh, even like Singapore, they were talking about going to Singapore. Singapore right now, they're in some problems, right? They're having some problems. So the situation
Lee Kai
changes
Wen.
all the time, right? All the
There was
time.
there was this guy commenting on. You see all the comments, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Someone was writing. I think it was last night on this old Lee Kai Wen interview I did, and it's like, oh, I can't remember. He may have deleted it out of shame, but it was. Oh no, here it is. This comment 15 hours ago from Barnabas28 says, on an interview I did with Lee Kai Wen about a year and a half ago or more, he is one of the he is one of one's fighters who has knockout power. I want to see him fight Sagid Hussein, Timothy Nasi, and Lineker. But it's not going to happen, Barnabas, because Lee Kai Wen is now in the UFC's Performance Institute, Shanghai.
Yes,
It's going to
sir.
be on Contender Series Asia. Anyway, you got a
But
little bit of time.
yeah, we still got a lot of time, and in this world, like predicting what can happen, it's hard. It's hard to guarantee anything anymore, right? Because it's just, this sport is so international to the point where, like, one fighter could sign a contract and another fighter could sign a contract and they're ready to fight. They go through camps and at the last second, the day that they're getting on the plane, what happens? Someone tests positive for COVID.
Or if
And
you
it could
might
be
have win
yeah,
twice.
somebody sitting across the road tests
Poor old
positive
Martin.
and they lock down everybody that's next to him, right? And it's happened to him twice, I believe. So stuff like that, you know what I mean? You never know.
Chinese
You never
fighters have
know.
not done well this year, points out Tan. What are they? 1-9, I think they are in the UFC.
Yeah.
Or 2-9. I think Lee and Sumu Derji are the only winners. Lee Jingliang. And then they've had
Well,
9 losses. Not
um,
good.
let's look at not just Chinese fighters, but just the Performance Institute fighters, right? They have not done well at all. You know,
No.
Chinese fighters are gonna lose, man. You also have to understand if we dissected like, okay, China has like what 10 fighters in the UFC, right? Around there, okay. If you look at like the US or Brazil and you look at the percentages of like winners and losers, it might not be much different. You know what I mean? We just point to China and say like, oh, they're not having a good year and they've lost. They did, right? But they might be in a slump, man. Everybody goes through a slump. And you know, people talking about like, oh, you know, they're not skilled as we thought they were. Man, I think especially those fighters that debuted at that pay-per-view in front of the crowd, I think that kind of messed with them a little bit too. You know, like all those Chinese fighters.
Yes, they were heavily booed and subjected to
Yeah, all the
racist
fighters, right?
remarks, a bunch of them. So, not a great place to make your debut, I think. Would have been better putting them on a Vegas one with no crowd, maybe. But, the UFC is, they don't seem to want to build up anyone anymore in a good way. They just kind of, it's the best against the best now, isn't it, John? It's different in the UFC. They
There's
don't give
no
anyone easy fights now.
there's no time. There's no time for them
Maybe
to
Sean O'Malley.
there's no time anymore to like build anybody up for them, especially, right? They don't need to. Their building up processes, okay, you go in the Contender Series. And then okay, now you make your debut. But your debut could be with another prospect or it could be with some guy that has 10 fights already in the UFC. You have no idea, you know what I mean? There's no like the matchmakers,
Mm.
they're just trying to make the most exciting fights, especially at the lower tier of the divisions, right? So they're just trying to make the most exciting fights. And then also it's like sometimes and another aspect is that they have so many shows to where it's like you need to fit in where you can fit in, right? It might not be the best matchup for you, but maybe if you don't take this fight, they're not going to fit you in for another 6 months. And I've heard this from fighters before, right? Like they said, you know, I reached out to, you know, the matchmakers and they told me if we don't fit you in here, you know, or we cannot even fit you in until this date, until this month. So that's why some of these fighters will have like 4 months, 5, 6 months off, even though they want to fight, which is, I don't know, man. It's which makes it difficult for the fighters, you know, like you want to build yourself up, but it's like, can you? Can you do it in the UFC?
And
I
what
don't know.
about you got Fight Island news as well?
Oh yeah, so
This
I heard that Fight Island is going to be back in October. This is just what I heard from some sources. Um and I hope so, man. I hope so cuz a lot of fighters they can't go to the US, but they could go to Fight Island. So that gives them an opportunity to, you know, compete on
we
Fight
could have a
Island, right?
crowd again, a full crowd this time. Do we know anything about this?
Who knows, man? Who knows? But it seems like Abu Dhabi's doing a good job of containing everything. I don't. The thing is, I don't really pay attention too much to like what is the COVID situation around the world. I only pay attention to like what's the COVID situation here in my country, and if I catch a glimpse of like what's going on in the other parts of the world, I do. But I'm not like, you know, actively searching for like COVID news. Is that something you look at every morning? I don't look at it at all.
I checked the Hong Kong
Yeah,
COVID.
exactly.
Yeah,
You're focused on like
just
what's
to
gonna
see
affect you, right?
when can I go back to normal life. But
Are you maskless?
I am not. I am right now. I'm in a podcast studio.
I mean, like outside though, are they allowing you? Because you're vaccinated, right?
I am, yeah, but even in the office, if I walk between like my desk and the coffee machine, I've got to wear a mask. It's getting a little ridiculous because I'm fully vaccinated. But what can you do? Yeah, I think most people in my office are. I don't know, to be honest. But maybe we should have some incentives at SCMP for vaccination.
I hope
Give
so,
me
man.
a free
Were they all free the
beer.
vaccinations?
Yeah, yeah,
That's better than like some places, man. I think some
yeah.
places are
True, yeah.
making people people pay for it, dude, and then like, man, I don't know. Like to me, I have no idea what the vaccination situation is here in Korea. So,
Well,
but I
they
heard,
got a big boost lately because they did this thing that's popular now of having a lottery or a raffle, what have you. You put up a big prize. I think they put up a 10.8 million Hong Kong dollar apartment, and
what?
suddenly they got record numbers.
Of
Because that's all
course.
people care about in Hong Kong is having, you know, a place to live. Because no one, there's such a housing shortage, and also it's a decent chunk of money.
Oh, really?
I'm not
There's a
sure what
housing.
$10.8 million gets you in Hong Kong for a flat though. Probably a shoebox. But uh, yeah, suddenly the numbers have gone up. We're now past 1 million total vaccinated here. We need 70% of 7 million. You do the maths to get herd immunity. So it's picked up a little bit, getting
That's
there.
good. That's
And
good
they're
to know.
talking now about if there's a fifth wave, they're just gonna not let unvaccinated people go to the cinema or to restaurants or to bars because they can't be bothered to keep doing this. They like, all right, you're not gonna do it. You're not allowed to go anyway. That's the latest thing.
Well,
Anyway,
I wonder how that is even how you even control that. That doesn't like you have to show an ID or something.
they yeah, when you get vaccinated now, you have it on your Hong Kong ID, so they can like scan it, presumably.
Ah, okay. Because every
Because it
place you
like
go, you got to get your temperature checked and all that shit, huh?
yeah, like we have these cards, ID cards, with you. And then when
Okay.
you get the vaccine, they put it in a machine and it puts it on this chip. And then I guess they can. It's all technology, right? But
Yeah, it is. It is definitely technology. But hey,
some people would say this is Orwellian and 1984. Who
well,
knows? I
we know
don't know
that
where I'm on
guy.
this.
He comes on the podcast sometimes.
He's moved to Bali. So,
Yeah, man. He's
uh,
moved to the edge of the earth. That's where he moved to.
yeah.
And
How did you
he
feel? Yeah. I didn't feel too
um,
bad. I felt a little drowsy
are you
first
guys
time.
doing a fight companion for this week's
No, I
show?
didn't do one last week either. But
Yeah, these ones
uh,
are seem like they just kind of like had them in stock just in
they did,
case.
yeah. They recorded them months ago. These two cards, full blast, one championship, and Chris said a bunch of the fights were actually earmarked for a One Warrior series, so they just kind of pulled the trigger on it.
Oh, really? They had one Warrior Series fights in the cage?
Yeah, they were gonna. This is what Chris said, so maybe Chris can clear it up in the chat. Uh, Here's a question.
All right, I'm gonna hop off and I'll hop
Yeah.
back on. All right, I'll do
Okay,
the interview.
John's got to go interview someone. I
All
will
right, I'll be
keep
back.
talking.
All right, I'll be.
Keep yeah. I'll keep answering the questions from the homies in the chat. Did you guys see Tito resign? I didn't, Chris. I did not. Tito Ortiz is no longer on the Huntington Beach, whatever. What is it? Tito Ortiz. Let me type this in. Mayor Pro Totem or whatever he's called. Oh, let's look at this. Should be funny. Uh, I found a tweet. Let me bring it on screen. Oh, not there. Too many buttons here for me to press. Sorry. Chrome tab. Share audio. Oscar Willis from the Mac Life. Stealing your video, Oscar. Sorry.
Better City Manager Albert Chi. I would like to inform you that I am resigning from my position as Mayor Pro Tem, City Councilman, with the city of Huntington Beach, effective June 1st, 2021. I ran for this position with hopes to better my community, work on my constituents, and give them a voice, making our beautiful city safe and clean, and to ensure a bright future for my children. I was under the notion that I was in a bipartisan position and that we all had the common goal that our city and our constituents could have. To put it frankly, that's not the case. From day one, I was sworn in and I was met with hostility and judgment. Being in a public figure, nothing is new. However, to be so focused of character assassination each and every week with multiple news stories and leak personal information, all in which were in hopes to slander and defame my name. I thought I was up to this job, but I knew I had over 40,000 constituents who were there counting on me. As of recent, the attacks against me have moved into involved my family. I now feel for their safety is in danger. To put it simply, this job isn't working for me. I'm sorry to let down many of my supportive HB constituents, and I pray they'll understand. Sincerely, Tito Ortiz. At this time, I'd like to thank you, Michael Gates, for what you've done and what you continue to do. Eric Peterson, thank you very much. Chief Harvey, amazing job as a chief, HBPD, Huntington Beach Fire Department. I'll continue to be a resident here in Huntington Beach. I've tried as hard as I possibly could, but when my children, safety becomes a matter, I'm a father, and I'm gonna protect my children. Once again, I did as best as I possibly could do, and I hope I didn't let anybody down. I hope you guys have a wonderful night.
Thank you.
All right. Well, there you go. Tito Ortiz, breaking news, I think, has resigned from the Huntington Beach Council or whatever it is he's on. What do you think of that? Basically, he was interim mayor, says Adam. Okay. I don't know what that means. Tito let me down. Sorry, Alan. Barcinia Depot made Tito resign. Is that true? What did Barcinia Depot do? Just all these gifs of Tito gaffs. I see he kind of updates everyone on how weird and Tito puts his foot in his mouth a lot of the time. I think that's fair to say. Poor Tito, he sounds emotional. Yeah, I'm surprised Tito even got on this thing anyway. Breaking news only on SCMP MMA. Indeed. When did that happen? Has this just happened now? 10:22 a.m. Yeah, about half an hour ago. Got to thank Chris for that. Chris pointing out the big news there. Tito Ortiz has resigned again. It's what we do on the Post-Fight podcast. We break news. Yeah, look, I'm back in the studio in Times Square. I've got my fake blue screen behind me. Got big plans for this studio, actually. I will be buying some better equipment. Gonna jazz up this whole thing and make it look professional. Big things coming around about August when I can afford it. Who fights Sage next? Asked Martin and Boucher. Well, when does Sage fight next? Because he's still getting blood work done, as far as I know. As of 2 or 3 weeks ago when I interviewed him, he has not been medically cleared to fight. I don't know if that's changed since then. If he has said anything on social media, I haven't seen it. Sage wants to fight Shinya Aoki because Shinya ticked him off when he said, eat shit. Sage wants to make him eat his words. So Sage and Shinya could still happen. It looks like Shinya is not going to grapple Gordon Ryan anymore because Gordon is indefinitely stepping away until he can resolve these stomach issues he's having. So I don't think Shinya is going to grapple Gordon. I think that's correct. Correct me if I'm wrong, but maybe Shinya's got an opening now around August if Sage can get medically cleared. But Sage is suffering from long-term COVID symptoms. He has had really bad time of it, blood clots and all that stuff. He says blood clots are no joke. They are not. So hopefully Sage recovers soon. But I actually don't want to see him fight Shinya. Don't think that's a good fight for him. I would rather they give him a layup. After 2 years off, having 8 facial fractures, I think he can have a nice layup fight. Test the waters a little bit. No, he wants to fight Shinya and Fairfax. That's brave. I commend the man. We'll see what happens. Do SCMP MMA have a Patreon, something like that? Asked Adam. No, do not. Was it you, Adam, asking about membership? Yeah, there you go. You should have a membership for this channel since you guys stream a lot. Yeah, I'm looking into setting up membership and things like that. I don't really know how it works. I don't want to bilk you guys who watch this too much, and yeah, I feel it's a little wrong to ask you for money. We'll be setting up merchandise soon, so if anyone wants to help through that manner, you can buy all manner of crap like t-shirts and iPhone cases, and I don't know, there's a bunch of stuff on there. I've designed a couple of things already, but it takes time, and I haven't had much time. Just had a couple of weeks off, so I'm back in the swing now, back in the office, beautiful Times Square in Hong Kong, Causeway Bay. I will get on that soon. I'm thinking of setting up membership, just looking into it. Chris is always telling me to set up super chats and things like that, but we'll see. The thing is, the revenue will go to South China Morning Post, so I'd be comfortable with it if some of that revenue is kind of pumped back into SCMP MMA. But if it's just getting swallowed up by the big machine, I feel it's unfair to ask our fans, you know, you guys who watch and comment, to put money in. If it goes into some kind of revenue, I can then redisperse, is that a word, to the contributors on this channel, like Chris, like John, like Leon. Actually, fuck Leon. Like all the guys, Tom Taylor, Michael Owens, everyone who contributes. Yeah, then I'm down for doing all those things like membership. Let's get this video to 20 likes, guys. Says Chris. Yes, if you haven't already, please remember to like and subscribe. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Also, if you haven't, download Fanatics Fantasy MMA from getfanatics.app/SCMP. Join our group. Make your own group, whatever you want to do. Make your picks for UFC 1, Bellator, PFL, and more. They have Ryzen. They're going to have Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley, all the freak show fights. It's all on there. It's really fun. We're closing on about 350 users in our group. Great to see those guys. SCMP MMA lunchbox. Yeah, I'm sure I can make those. Would love you guys. Love to see you guys set up some super chat. Yeah, I'm gonna look into it. I will look into it. Come on, man, you have supporters that like to help out, says Adam. Well, I thank you, Adam, and yeah, I know there's a bunch of you who are very kind and want to help. So I will try my best to find some avenues for that. But you know, it's a fine line. I don't want to. What's the word? Just shake you down, you know. I don't, because we're a big company behind us. We should be able to provide free content like this. I mean, I don't see ESPN charging anyone, and that's it. But we'll see. We'll see if I can get some kind of recirculation of the revenue into paying the contributors a bit more here. That'll be cool. Any word on Singapore's COVID situation and opening up again? Ask WMMA scene now. You know what? I asked earlier, and John KL provided an answer in the chat. I didn't get to it, so I'm going to bring it up on screen here. I've just found it. There's 28 vaccine candidates in phase 3 trials. No, that's not it. Wrong one. Scrolling up a little bit further. That's his theory on why they... That wasn't it either. Keep going, keep going. If John is watching, maybe he can just type the comment again. Oh, here you go. Good chance the current lockdown light in Singapore ends on schedule in mid-June. Vaccinations all ramped up. Hopeful one can do a show in Singapore in end June or early July. There you go. So we might have the Atomweight Grand Prix, the one in Power Card. by the end of this month or early next month. That'd be cool. Don't worry, I got your back, WMA scene now. It's always easy for me to scroll up a little bit. The laptop's kind of far away and I got bad eyes. I want to bring it closer, but then my face would be gigantic on the screen. Anyway, no, we did that. SCMP. We'll not be having a fighting federation, Alan. We may have some lunch boxes for you. I mean, it's not mandatory, but it'd be for people who want to contribute. Yeah, that sounds cool. If I can find ways that people can contribute if they want, not make it that you have to pay for it, because then no one's going to watch it anyway. But sounds good, and I appreciate that you want to contribute, Adam, and that's very kind of you. What's next for Ongla and Vera? I don't know about Ongla and Vera. I guess Ong's gonna go to middleweight, and I think Vitaly, they can do that trilogy. I really don't know with Ong. I don't know what path he gets to get back to the title shot. There was not much upside in him taking that Renier Ritter rematch for the light heavyweight title. Like I said at the time, if I was him, I may have just politely said, you know what, I'm going to fight Vitaly. We'll do it when he's ready, because, you know, De Ridder may have moved on by then and fought Abasov eventually, and then they could have done the light heavyweight title next year. You know, Ong could have got a couple more defenses in. Who knows? Now Ong's really, really tied up. I don't see where he goes from here. He's got no path to a belt in one championship now. He's kind of stuck in purgatory. So unless he puts together three, look at Max Holloway, right? He lost twice to Volkanovski. You can argue the second one wasn't a loss, but to get that trilogy fight, even with such a close second fight, he's got to just tear through 3 or 4 people. I mean, he's fighting Yair Rodriguez next. Already probably deserves another shot in the back of that Calvin Kattar win, but Ong's going to have to go do what Max is doing, I think, and just really impress, get a few big wins. Vitaly Bigdash probably the best place to start. And I don't know, because the division's pretty thin. We'll see, but I'm sure Ong's got a plan. Man, Ong lost both belts in 1 year back to back. I'm sad for him, says Adam. I know I'm sad for him too. He is a great dude, and yeah, it was tough seeing him after that fight. You know, I asked the first question at the press conference, and see he was heartbroken. And I was thinking about this the other day, you know, with the whole thing going on with Naomi Osaka, and, you know, she's pulled out of the French Open and she didn't want to do the press conference because of mental health. It's like, fair play to Ong for like stepping up and doing that press conference after that. And he answered all the questions. I asked some stupid questions. He stood up and, yeah, he really, really showed what kind of character he has. And he's everyone in MMA loves this guy. So he has a great support system around him, and he'll be back. Don't worry about it. Vera, I'm not sure. I don't see Vera getting to the title again. His age is a big thing. I think he's 43, and he's going to have to put some wins together as well. I don't know. Does he want it? I asked Arjan, do you think Vera will come back and fight you? He said, do you think Brandon wants it enough? A lot of people say they, you know, do these things, but saying it's one thing, doing it's another. So again, I think Brandon's got to go put together a few wins. And in one championship, you're never too far away from a title shot in a lot of divisions, or because they're not that steep, they're not that deep, they're not that stacked. So you can get a title shot with a couple of wins. I think it's not the UFC where sometimes you got to put together 12 wins to get anywhere near it, like Charles Oliveira or Tony Ferguson. What did Nick ask? I think I just asked him, are you proud of you? You know, you survived you didn't submit. You looked a lot better on the ground. You proud that you showed those improvements you've been working on, and in training for the last 6 months. I'm sure he's not very proud because he just lost. But sometimes we ask stupid questions because we are humans too. I got a lot of comments here. Did you discuss Lee and Alvarez back and forth? What with on? Oh no, I didn't. Brandon has made more movies and TV shows than the fights he's had in the last 4 years, says Chris. Yes, that's another factor with Brandon Vera. Does he need to fight anymore? Because he can go and make movies and TV shows. I'm sure his motivation is there because this move to Sanford MMA has seemingly kick-started, reignited the fire in him. I think he's feeling a little bit like, damn, I wish I'd made this move 10 years ago in my career. You know, the improvements he made in 1 month, he feels is palpable already. Imagine if he'd been there for 5 years. Maybe it's a little too late for Brandon, but I think he's in the right place in one championship. If he wants to still have fights and still compete, he can probably do that there. Although one's signing a lot of good new heavyweights, so we'll see. At least Vera has an acting career in the future. Exactly. Brandon's a good guy. I mean, I did want to talk about these one championship pound for pound women's rankings. So I am on the rankings panel, and I got the latest email asking for my updates for the rankings. I think they come once or twice a month, and they show you all the divisions that are impacted the last few weeks with the fights that have happened. And then they also said, by the way, we're introducing 3 new rankings: pound for pound women's MMA, pound for pound women's Muay Thai, and pound for pound women's kickboxing. So I had a look, and then they have the suggested names, that you can pick, but they say, feel free to pick whoever you want. And then it's got all these names. The MMA one is just about justifiable to have a pound for pound, but one only has 2 women's divisions in MMA, atomweight and strawweight, and the strawweight division is incredibly shallow. You've got Zhong Jingnan, the champion, then you've got Tiffany Teo, who she's beaten twice, I think, and she just beat in October, and then you've got Michelle Nicolini, who is going to fight her for the title next. John's back. What's up? I was just talking about these rankings, John. One championships, pound for pound rankings for the women.
Oh, okay.
But then third in the strawweight division is Angela Lee, who is 0-2 at strawweight. So there's not a deep division at all. So do we really need a women's pound for pound in one when it's basically all atomweights, and we have atomweight rankings anyway? Now, that is actually slightly justifiable, but the Muay Thai and the kickboxing, you cannot have a pound for pound Muay Thai and kickboxing for the women in one, because they don't even have strawweight rankings in Muay Thai or kickboxing. They don't even have strawweight titles in Muay Thai or kickboxing. So again, it's just atomweights. Why the hell are they doing this? I don't know. Fill me in, John. Do you have any idea? Why wouldn't they just do it for the men first? Those, at least they've got 5, 6, 7 divisions in MMA for men. They've got 3 or 4 divisions in the Super Series. They could do a pound for pound. I don't see how they can do it here. It's too shallow.
It is too shallow. I don't know why they're doing it either. Maybe it's just them trying to keep busy with no shows, and and they want to just put something out there as news. I have no idea. They also did they just announce like they're gonna have some huge tournament in Europe too, some kickboxing tournament.
They're
Like
having
there's a bunch.
it's a heavyweight MMA tournament, I think.
Okay. Well, go back to the pound for pound. I don't know. I don't think they should have the pound for. Well, they could have pound for pound if they want to, but will it do anything to help? No, it won't do anything to help. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? They don't have enough fighters. I think even right now, other promotions, there's a reason why they don't have rankings themselves. Is because it would just look ridiculous. Some of the rankings that they put out, and
Well, at
and
least
you
it's just a top 5. I mean,
yeah, this is
Bellator have these
something.
top 10s, and it's like, whoa, you get down past the first 5, and it's a little
Yeah,
tricky
exactly.
there.
You know, it's like some fighters, you know, it's hard to rank them when they just only have one fight. And like you mentioned, some fighters don't have any fights, but they're ranked. You know, and some fighters have no wins and they're ranked. And that doesn't look good for anybody. So if they put it out, they put it out, right? But it's only gonna lead to criticism. And that's what it is. And that's what rankings are. They just are there for criticism. They're not really there for much praise, right? It's not many times you see fans or people on social media praising the rankings. You always usually see them degrading the rankings, right? So, and I know I'm part of the rankings for Bellator, and you're part of the
Yeah.
rankings for one championship. So
Yeah.
we see it, and it's just, you know,
But
just
my
it's hard to
rankings that
respond.
I submit make sense, and then you see the final finished
Yeah,
article, it makes no sense.
yeah.
And then
Well,
I'm not
I'm
one. It's
not
not
that
just one
confident.
that's guilty of this, right? But other
Yeah.
promotions do it too. But if they have a fight coming up, they will just slide someone into that top
Mhm.
5, like they did with Gafarov, and they did with Lowen Tainanis, and just to big up a card, to big up an event, they can say, "Oh, this person is top 5."
Yeah. I
Boils my
don't know.
blood.
Well, they also put like jujitsu records instead of their MMA records on during the show when they
Yeah,
introduced the fighters on the bottom. They're like, "Oh, this person is 191-3 in jiu-jitsu, but you're it's Reese McLaren. He's an MMA fighter. Why would you put that up there?" It's some things are confusing to me when they do that. Like
yeah.
there's a guy fighting MMA, but you put up their Muay Thai record. You're like, "Oh, what is that?" I don't understand why they would do that, but
Well, they don't even have the records on their website on one, and I'm
I
trying to make
know.
these top 5s, and I'm like, I don't even know how many fights this person's won in one. Have they even fought in one yet? A bunch of the suggested names that they put for these rankings
Mhm.
haven't even competed in that division or in that sport even. They were saying Jackie Boonson should be in. They suggested she be in top 10, top 5 pound for pound kickboxing. I'm like, as far as I know, she's not fought kickboxing in one, right? She's had 2 Muay Thai fights. Why should she
Exactly.
be
Well,
in the
I
kickboxing
think
pound for
I
pound
think
top 5?
I think that should just be together. I think you should put Muay Thai and kickboxing together. Just mix
That
it
would make
in.
more sense for the
Yeah.
women's side. But
Yeah.
and then they had Anissa Mexon as a suggested name for the top 5, and she has not fought in one yet. She was going to fight,
Yeah.
Empower. They had a bunch of people who have one fight and one win in one championship.
Yeah, it's a trip, man. It's a trip. Like
Don't.
whenever these rankings come out, it's just it's crazy, man. Like it's the never-ending argument, right?
Yes.
It's a never-ending debate of like who's there at this number, and then why are they there, and why is this fighter not there? Like it's just the argument that people,
But
and they're like,
at least with Bellator and UFC, they've had fights in that division and in that promotion, right?
yeah. But then you run into problems with that too, because some fighters they've had a great record before they joined the promotion, and then their first fight they lost, and then a lot of people are like, oh, why are this person ranked? Or there's everybody looks at it differently, right? And there is a criteria, but I don't know, man. You'll never find out how people rank anything, because it's all subjective. It's just what you think of their performances, and I just go by wins losses, right? And then how it
Yeah.
ended. Like if it's a DQ or if it's like a weird stoppage, then I could maybe factor that in. But usually it's just wins losses. You know what I mean? Or how dominant they've been.
They were also trying to suggest Ham should be in the top 5 MMA, and of course, if you go on her record over her career, she would be, but she's not fought in one yet.
Yeah.
You can't put someone who's not fought in a promotion there. Uh, I'm a stickler for that.
Yeah. See,
But
some
as
people like
WMMA seen,
you're a
I'm a
stickler, but
stickler.
some
Yeah.
people might not be a stickler.
I think WMMA seen commented on. I tweeted this. He said something like #super unnecessary. This whole thing. And I agree. Didn't need to do this. It feels like they're just doing stuff to generate some news because there's no fights at the moment. Fair,
Keeping the
I understand
headlines.
that. Keep some headlines. That's why they're pushing out this Nielsen stuff and the ONE versus UFC. They're like asking websites to, write these dream matches, ONE versus UFC, and the champion versus champion, and who would win, how many.
But they're not even in the same weight class.
Exactly, it's stupid.
It's different weight class. But that, to me, it's like these rankings are whatever. You know, I mean, you could do whatever rankings you want. But the ONE versus UFC thing that they're trying to promote, it's, to me, it's like so far fetched. You know what I mean? Like even Bellator, even PFL
pointless.
doesn't even do
It's
that.
never gonna happen.
Yeah, it's never gonna happen. So why would you even like throw that out there?
We're trying to drum up interest. We're trying to put ourselves on a par with the UFC. But they're talking about something that will never happen. So what's the point?
Well, I guess one thing about combat sports, half of it is fantasy. Like what's your fantasy picks? What's your dream matchups?
They're probably gonna do a press release.
I haven't seen any. I get press releases.
Press release on the Nielsen stuff. So maybe they'll do one on ONE versus UFC. Like, we challenge the UFC to these fights. Where are you gonna do it? Who's going to do the drug testing? What are the weight class rules? What are the is there weight cutting? Is there hydration? It's just never going to happen, right?
Yeah, it's not transparent, and like you said, and like I said, the weight divisions are different. You know what I mean? Like the guys at lightweight are fighting at 170. The guys at You wouldn't even, to be honest, like, do you even know like what weight the heavyweights are fighting at? Like what weight the light heavyweights are fighting at? Even I can see what the middleweights are fighting at, right? But light heavyweight, and heavyweight, I'm confused. I have no idea. I'm ignorant to that.
I don't know. I actually don't know.
Exactly. So if they do fight, whose rules are you going under? You're going under ONE's rules, which I bet you a lot of the UFC fighters would never do that. They would never want. They want weight cuts. They want that extra level, right? So it is very confusing, but it gives us a topic to talk about. And in Asia, man, like one thing I know is that Singapore might be having some problems, but man, Korea, they're pumping out shows right now, dude. Like they had a show on Monday. They're gonna have a show this Saturday. They have 3 shows coming up in the next couple of weeks. So they're moving forward, man. I think Japan's been putting on shows. Ryzen is, they're having the Tokyo Dome. It's moving along quickly in those countries. You know what I mean? Like I'm pretty sure China's having a lot of shows too. Breaking news.
Just got a bunch of texts. Gonna have Bibiano Fernandez interview.
Wow.
Friday. Yeah.
Interesting.
Maybe we'll bring him on the show or something.
Bibiano, man, he hasn't talked to anybody in a long time.
I thought Bibi would never talk to us again because we pissed him off. He had heat with us. Matt Scott interviewed him, and his quotes was something like, "Well, I could fight Bang on again, but I'll beat him. And if Martin Newman wants to lose to me again, I'm happy to do that." So I put the headline on it, something like, Bibiano says he'll beat Martin and Kevin, and then Bibi saw it. He's furiously texting Matt Scott. He's like, nah, I didn't say that. You make me sound like really arrogant, but and not everyone who knows Bibi knows he's very respectful and really chill.
Yeah.
So
but just because you say you're gonna beat somebody doesn't mean you're arrogant, right? It's a game of fighting.
Yeah, I think he just didn't want to come off like he was being a trash talker, and it maybe made him sound a little bit like that. So I just tweaked the headline a little bit, but I thought he was never going to speak to SCMP again. So the heat is off. It's over. Apparently, gonna have BB back Friday, 10 a.m. I think it is. So look forward to that, guys. Okay,
That's
Alan's
good.
asked a bunch of questions. How about this one?
What is it? Let's see.
I know you don't control the Bellator rankings alone, but why do you think Horiguchi isn't ranked in the bantamweight Bellator rankings, John?
Because he's not a Bellator fighter, he's a Ryzen fighter. That's why.
There you go. Simple.
Simple thing right there.
If I've been wondering, is there a rankings drop? Okay. Do you see MVP versus Lima or Amasov being competitive fight? Says MVP is being talked about as the next challenger at welterweight after Amasov next Friday.
It's hard to say, man. Like MVP was doing pretty decent against Lima until he got knocked out. So I could only imagine that MVP would be much better in a rematch. But Amasov, man, oh, that's a rough matchup for MVP. Amasov is a monster. You know, Amasov could be the champion. You know what I mean? Lima is a great fighter, but Amasov, he's a tricky fighter, and stylistically he's bad for both those guys because both those guys are strikers. But the thing about Lima, man, he just has that crazy knockout power, and his kicks are deadly. So if he could neutralize Amasov with kicks, I think he could beat him and knock him out. But with MVP, I don't know, man. MVP, it's hard to say, man. I think he should fight somebody else before he fights for the title, because he's been just fighting guys with pretty much not in the top 10, and he's getting a title shot off of that. I don't know. I'm not really interested in that. But MVP is a great fighter, man. I saw him in Japan fight, so he's an interesting character and a deadly striker. But I still think he needs one more fight.
And more, keep it on the Bellator theme from Alan. Thoughts on Scott Coker saying after Archside Pettis that Pettis versus Horiguchi will be the fight they try to make?
I'm with that. You know, Horiguchi was the champ. He never lost the belt. So why wouldn't you put Pettis against Horiguchi? But I still think Horiguchi wins that fight.
More from Alan here. Why not? I feel dumb to ask, but is Ryzen rules also Pride rules?
A little different, but the
curious.
one thing you guys got to remember is that Ryzen, they have different rule sets for every fight, so you could contract, you know, the rules. Like one rule is like no elbows or like no soccer kicks. You know, you could like kind of deal that, you know, in Ryzen. But I feel like Ryzen now, if you're going by MMA rules, it's everything. They have the best rule set now because they're allowing elbows. Before they didn't allow elbows, but now they're allowing elbows from, you know, to the face in an MMA fight, and without a separate contract going, you know, like a stipulation in the contract. So they have soccer kicks still. They have knees. You know, I think they just don't have stomps. But I can live with that. I can live without stomps. You know, stomps it's a pretty like gruesome way to knock somebody out, right? Just to stomp them with your heel to their face. So soccer kicks is cool. They have a good rule set. I have no problem with that. I've been curious since I watched the highlight video.
I believe the Tokyo Dome show isn't full capacity though, or is it?
No, because they have like social distancing rules, so they gotta separate people.
Any other questions from anyone? Please put them in the comments. I think people asked questions earlier, but we were talking about other stuff, so if I missed them, I'm sorry. Please repeat them again, and we will get to them.
Get them in. Yeah. We got 7 minutes. 7 minutes.
What about Tough 29? That started tonight, right? In America? You said you wanted to chat about it. What?
Yeah, but I don't even know. I didn't even watch it. Like, I don't even know how. I don't even know how to watch it. Like, hopefully someone's gonna put it up somewhere, but I have no idea.
All right, we can discuss that next time, maybe.
Yeah, but it should be a pretty good show. Like, I think I'm going to have one of the coaches from The Ultimate Fighter that was on the season this Friday for the live chat. So we'll see what happens with that. I was thinking about just doing like a series with him, like every episode, like we'll talk afterwards, like do a little podcast like for 30 minutes or something, talking about what happened on the show. Maybe he could give us some insight onto like some of the stuff that we didn't see during the fights or during the show. Still working on that, but if I do that, I'll bring it to SCMP and we'll do it on here and make it a little mini series.
Do you need any? I can do that show on Friday if you need a third. So,
Oh, definitely need a third. So
okay.
yes, we
I
just
can
did it right
produce
here.
it.
You see how it works? We
Yeah.
got it. It's all love, man. We got it instantly.
Yeah.
It's
I
how
can
good we work.
work the comments and all that
Exactly.
shit.
Yeah, there we go. We got
Um.
a couple questions though. They're coming in.
Okay. More Alan. How much will Yair's 22-month layoff going to Hawaii fight affect him?
I think it's gonna affect them a lot, man.
Well, you
Like
don't want to fight
Holloway's been
Holloway after 2 years
exactly.
out.
Yeah, there's guys that you don't want to fight when you come back, and Holloway's definitely one of those guys.
What happens to the tough losers? Asked Alvin. How come sometimes they get signed to the UFC after the show, even if they lose?
The reason why there's two reasons why: potential and management. That's why.
There you go. What's next for Manel Cape if he's still in the UFC? Asked Alan.
He's still in the UFC. He's managed by Ali, or I think he was first round and then he switched over to Ali. So I believe he's managed by Ali now. Yeah, I think he's still in the UFC. He's still very young. I don't think the UFC would cut him out. He's an African fighter too, with European roots. Um, yeah, I think he should step back and fight somebody that's not in the top 15. I think his last fight was very close and he probably should have won, but still, it's a loss. So he has 2 losses in UFC. He has one more fight to put himself back, into the good graces of the UFC. So we'll see what happens.
Percy asking what happened to the one Grand Prix. Are they still doing it? They are. They're just waiting for Singapore to. The cases of coronavirus went up around about the time they were going to do the show and fly everyone in. So they postponed the show, and the word is it will be end of this month or early July. So it's coming, Percy. Don't worry.
Yeah, I heard the same thing too. And we're not talking to the same people, so it must be true. I heard the end of July or end of June, early July. Because they need to get it started as soon as possible. Because even April was a delay, right? So we'll see.
Should have been in January.
Mhm.
Anyway, Angela Lee might have a second child before they even start this.
I think that she will.
What are the tough contracts like? Us, Alvin. I wouldn't know. Maybe John knows.
I think I don't know. It's probably like a baseline contract, right? Like someone that starts off in the UFC when they first get in, which is I believe like 15-15 or 20-20, something like that. If you win tough, you get 100K, but that's spread out from like multiple fights, right? So I don't know too much about the contracts. I'm not a manager.
What about JP Bays versus Cape?
That's a good fight.
Alan.
That's an interesting fight. I like both guys. Both are good guys. Very talented and young, different styles. That'd be good.
More from Alan. The one-man question machine. I love it. Have you guys seen Chris Weidman's been walking on his own 2 feet? Great news. Yeah, Chris. Someone sent me that video, and I remember when I had a knee surgery, I couldn't even walk on that after five weeks. So Chris is doing a great job. I'm sure he's got all that state-of-the-art, what's it called, rehab stuff being paid for by the UFC. I've seen him on some anti-gravity machines and things like that. So he's getting the best care, the best treatment, isn't he? And for all the shit the UFC gets, John, for injuries like this, they do take care of their fighters, don't they? And I think they foot the bill for that. So
definitely take care of their fighters. And I've been watching the whole what is it, Chris Weidman, his YouTube channel. You guys should go and watch it, his videos that he's been putting up. There's one where he breaks down emotionally about like what this leg injury means to him, and it makes it so real, you know what I mean? Because all we see is guys go in there and knock other guys out, submit them, get into these bloody wars, but you get to really see like the other side of fighting for like a guy like Chris Weidman, who was a champion, who who pretty much beat one of the greatest fighters of all time twice, and then had the craziest thing happen to him, which is something that he did to someone else happen to him the same exact way. And man, just like him talking about his family and like, and it's talking about like him like teaching his son, like about like, this is what dad can do and blah blah. He might not be able to do that again because of the leg injury. It's like it breaks your heart, you know what I mean? And I'm all for this journey that he's on and him documenting it. I'm gonna watch it all. And hopefully, Nick, you could get an interview with him in the next month or so just to see if you could catch up with him, right? You've talked to him before.
Yeah, I don't know him at all. That was just offered through the UFC PR, so I doubt I'll be able to get Chris. But who knows?
Yeah. We hope.
JHK, do you prefer Dana White's Contender Series or Tough?
I prefer Dana White's Contender Series. I like that better. I like to just watch the fights, and it's an easier path for the fighters to get to the UFC. It's like you fight once, you get a contract, you're done. You don't have to go through being in a house, yeah. I just think like a lot of the guys on the Ultimate Fighter, they didn't benefit from the Ultimate Fighter. It just like made them worse. In like, not as a fighter, but just as like their image and their portrayal and all that stuff. So, yeah, I like Dana White's Contender Series much better.
Alvin asking, did you guys talk about Dana White's Contender Series Asia? We did, yeah.
You did.
So,
Just rewind and you'll get it in the beginning.
Yeah, I can't remember where it was. We talked about Jake Paul for a while, and then we got to that.
Yeah.
Do you want to wrap it up or what?
Yeah, let's wrap it up, man. Wrap it up.
PFL quickly. Thoughts on Rory McDonald versus, is it Gleason Tebow?
Yeah, Gleason Tebow, man. I take Roy McDonald on that. I think Gleason Tebow is a good fighter,
he looked good in his PFL debut, didn't he?
But Rory looks damn good. So we'll see. But I think Rory he's just a smart fighter. Like, so whenever he goes against anybody, he doesn't take as much risk, and that's what Tebow wants you to do, is take those risks. And I don't think Rory McDonald will do that and win that fight.
Maybe like this. What's Rory's nickname nowadays?
I think it's like the Red something.
Let's have a look.
Red. Some weird.
Red King.
Red King, yeah.
What the hell?
Whatever that means.
What about your thoughts on Korean Superboy's return?
It's a good matchup, man. I think it's like a real good matchup for him. Another striker, a guy that was going to stand and strike with him, not wrestle him. And we'll see if Korean Superboy can return back to form. I think this is the fight. We'll see if he's going to be a guy that's going to rise up again, or a guy that's just passed, we've seen the best of him, So this is a big fight for him.
All right, leave it there, I guess. What's coming up, John? What have you got in the pipeline?
Well, we got some articles coming up, right? But just go into the channel and check out all the Ryzen Bantamweight Grand Prix interviews that I did. Those events are coming up in the next month. All the fighters, I've done 15 of the 16 fighters, so there's a lot to watch. Also, I did an interview with Jairzinho Rosenstrike. He's going to be main eventing this weekend. Go back and check that out. He talks about some street fights when he was young, before he became a kickboxer, before he became a fighter. He was fighting in the street. He's talking about fighting 2 people, 3 people at one time. It's pretty good, because he's a guy that's not really too open, but he talks about those things, and his reaction to Derek Lewis knocking out some guy that's trying to break into his house or break into his car was pretty funny too. Other than that, I got the Korean Superboy interview, Kang Kyung-ho interview. Those interviews are very rare. I don't think those guys do many interviews at all. So go check those out. What else do we have? I got to go look at our page, dude. Like,
I haven't done anything for a while, so I've got Bibiano Fernandez, one championship bantamweight champion, later this week, Friday.
Right. Let me see.
And I'm trying to line up a couple other things.
Oh yeah. Also, I have an interview with Kang Ji-won, who is the #1 contender in the heavyweight division for one championship. He responds to Arjun Buller, and his call out, and you know, it's pretty good. It's a decent interview. Some, you know, interviews that, you know, we bring you the interviews that a lot of people are not bringing you, to be honest with you, right? Like how many people are interviewing the Korean Superboy? How many people are interviewing Kang Ji-won, right? How many people are interviewing the Ryzen Bantamweight Grand Prix fighters? Not many out there, man. We're bringing
It's what we
you
do.
new shit all the time. So please support by hitting that subscribe, the like, share our stuff, and always keep active in the chat. You know, it means so much to us. You know what I mean? Thank you everybody for joining us today, and we're gonna try to keep this more active. We're gonna start doing more live chats, and yeah, this Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, my live chat will be happening. That's Friday morning, in Asia. But yeah, guys, thank you so much, and me and Nick will be back soon.
Yeah, I'm planning on doing this again tomorrow, same time, and then Thursday Asia time, Thursday morning, Wednesday morning, and then we'll have John's one on Friday morning Asia time. So whatever that is, wherever you are, Thursday night in America. Is that right? Doing it Friday morning Asia?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, like John said, I want to keep these a little bit more regular. Mondays are difficult because I usually have a day off, but Tuesday, Wednesdays, Thursday, Fridays, we're usually going to have something, and then Sundays after UFCs, we usually jump on for a recap. Yeah, keep it on SCMP MMA. Nearly at 18,000 subs now, aren't we? So
Damn, man.
not bad. We set a target for 21,000 this year, so we're close enough. I think we'll make it.
Yeah, you know,
Although I've set,
couple big interviews. We'll be there.
yeah, I think I said 30,000 for next summer in my performance goals. So that's maybe a little bit more lofty. Might need a couple of Ongla fights to get us.
Yeah.
Um,
Rug. We need Rug
yeah.
to come back. So
All right. Well, yeah. Thanks everyone for watching, and we will see you again tomorrow, same time, 10 a.m. Singapore, Hong Kong. Translate that however you will. I'll set up the stream on YouTube so you can see it ahead of time. But yeah, thanks for commenting, watching, liking, and subscribing. And hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next time. Okay.